Hi, this is Paul Swider. Good morning, and thank you for joining me in this AI global health moment or minute, if you will. I thought I'd discuss three quick topics very briefly here, less than 2 minutes. So the first two topics, I'd like to give two examples of how machine learning and AI is saving lives today in healthcare and global health. And then the third thought I'd like to share with you is a perspective, a little bit more of a global perspective, and how we can use that perspective to make things better here in North America and the US. Okay, so the first two ways that machine learning is saving lives in healthcare today, many ways. I think the easiest way to illustrate this is to pick the first two use cases for machine learning and AI. And so that would be object recognition and speech, right? Vision and speech were the first two computer science problems that we solved with machine learning. If we look at speech alone in health, we've seen a huge explosion in the way that NLP and speech is being used with bots and triage, especially during the pandemic, but even following the pandemic. We're using bots, we're translating natural language, and then we're triaging patients based on symptoms, thus streamlining care and saving lives. So this is happening across the US today. It helping, assisting, and saving lives. I don't want to throw an actual number out there, but lots of people. The second thing would be object recognition. So if you think about object recognition, we see a lot of this with machine learning today and identifying people in photos, for example, and there's so many, you've seen examples of workplace automation where objects are identified and then people are alerted. And so this is used in healthcare a lot. Actually, one really great example of how this is saving lives today is that we use object recognition to screen for things like different types of cancer, for example. So at the end of the day, an MRI is nothing more than an image file that can be read in like any other image file, and then we can apply machine learning modules to it. And we've actually gotten at the point where we're at par or better than a doctor at spotting certain types of cancer using object recognition. Okay, third item on the agenda in our minute. A more of an international example of how AI is being used and how we can learn from it. So if you look at the NHS in the UK, which is their universal healthcare system, what they've implemented recently, I was actually just in a really great meeting yesterday where a colleague was talking about this. They've implemented something called smart beds, where they literally have thousands and thousands of hospital beds around the UK are connected just like any other edge device, and they drop off data points, thousands of data points per second. They drop it off into, just like any other AI implementation into a data lake of sorts, and then the data is ingested and it's used for machine learning and training for triaging and moving patients around beds and getting an accurate bed count across the NHS. So how can we learn from the NHS? Well, what's interesting is I think part of the reason why this project is so successful is because they have a centralized healthcare system. That means they have a centralized data set. The schema is the same across all the hospitals and the hospital systems. We don't have that in the US. Individual hospitals and hospital systems use their own systems. Sure, some of them centralize around vendors, but for the most part, they use their own systems. One of the things you've probably started to read about is these new initiatives in healthcare in the US where we're educating people about the importance of structured data sets, how to get good data, how to make sure that we're not introducing implicit bias or explicit bias in our machine learning algorithms, right? So this structured set of data, universal schema, if you will, this is something that we're working on now in the US. So when you read about these efforts, think of the NHS and the importance of the structured data sets and the education that goes along with it. That's how we can continue to improve and build new use cases for machine learning in the US. So thank you for joining me for this 1 minute, 2 minute, maybe it was 3 minutes, but it was a great chat. Happy machine learning and AI to you. Cheers.
Join thousands of CXOs June 28th to 30th in San Francisco, California at Cloud Wars Expo as we explore a new metric called the time to dazzle, exclusively focused on how long it takes to dazzle customers with new business models that are enabled by the cloud, empowered by AI, and optimized with human ingenuity. Register today at cloudwarsexpo.com and join a movement to make dazzling customers the metric that matters.